Most romance anime make you wait. 12 episodes, 24, sometimes a whole second season just to find out if two people will finally say 3 little words to each other. You sit there, episode after episode, screaming at your screen, just confess already. But what if I told you there's a show that throws that entire rulebook in the trash in the very first episode? No slow burn, no 5 seasons of awkward glances. By the time the credits roll on episode 1, the confession is already done. They're already together. So here's the question that should be bugging you right now. If the couple gets together that fast, what's left to watch? What does a romance even do with the rest of its runtime once the will they, won't they is gone? Stick with me, because the answer is exactly why this little show quietly became one of the most talked about anime of its entire season, and why people couldn't stop sharing clips of it. The name is You and I Are Polar Opposites. And by the end of this video, you might just understand why a simple school romance hit harder than shows with 10 times the hype. If you love romance anime that actually respects your time, you're in the right place. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss the deep dives coming next, because trust me, this is the one to get into early. Now let's break it down. Here's the setup. You've got 2 high schoolers who could not be more different if the universe designed them in a lab. On one side, Miyu Suzuki. Loud, bubbly, pink-haired. The kind of girl who's always in the center of the group, always laughing, always going along with whatever the crowd is doing, even when, deep down, she doesn't really want to. On the other side, Yusuke Tani. Quiet, stoic, glasses, black hair, says maybe 4 words a day, but when he does speak, he says exactly what he thinks. No filter, no performance. Brutally honest in a way that should be terrifying, but somehow isn't. She follows the crowd. He couldn't care less about the crowd. She overthinks every word. He just says the thing. They are, as the title spells out for you, polar opposites. And that's the whole engine of this show. But here's the twist most people miss on the surface. The opposites thing isn't the problem in this story. It's the solution. We'll come back to that because it's the part that makes the whole thing click. Keep it in the back of your mind. Let's talk about Suzuki, because honestly, she steals the entire show, and I don't think it's close. On paper, she's the popular girl. But the second she's around Tani, the boy she's secretly, desperately into, she falls apart. Total nervous wreck. The confident, crowd-pleasing girl evaporates, and what's left is this overthinking, panicking mess who can't get a sentence out straight. And the genius is in how the anime shows this. When Suzuki gets surprised or flustered or angry, her hair literally pops loose and bounces around like it has a mind of its own. When she's hungry, she turns into this little pink gremlin practically inhaling a burger. The animators clearly had the time of their lives with her, and it's that exaggerated, springy, almost rubber hose energy that makes every reaction land. But here's what makes her more than a gag machine. Underneath the comedy is something a lot of us actually recognize. Suzuki is terrified of what other people will think. She likes a boy who's different, who doesn't fit the popular mold, and a huge part of her panic isn't even about him. It's about whether her friends will judge her for it, whether liking someone weird makes her weird. Be honest for a second. Have you ever liked someone and spent more time worrying about what your friends would say than about the actual person? Drop a yes in the comments if Suzuki is a little too relatable, because I have a feeling that section is about to get crowded. Now Tani. On first watch, he reads as the typical stone-faced quiet guy. Easy to write him off, but that's the trap, because the show plays a beautiful little trick on you. See, Tani barely reacts on the outside, but the anime lets you hear what's going on inside his head. And inside, he's paying attention to Suzuki way more than he lets on. He notices when she's there. He notices even more when she's not there. There's this moment where Suzuki isn't around for once, and Tani, Mr. Stoic, Mr. Says Nothing, quietly admits to himself that a day without her feels off. Too quiet. He's gotten so used to her chaos that the silence she leaves behind actually bothers him. That's the moment the whole character flips. Suddenly you realize the emotionless guy has been the one secretly attached this whole time. And it reframes everything. So now you've got the real picture. She's loud on the outside, but a wreck on the inside. He's silent on the outside, but warm on the inside. Two people hiding the exact same feeling behind opposite masks. Which raises a fun debate I want your take on. Who do you think actually fell first? Be ready, because the show gives you a pretty spicy answer. Okay, the big one. The scene that hooked everybody. Suzuki finally works up the nerve. She spent the whole episode talking herself out of it, convinced her friends will laugh at her, convinced it's hopeless, and then the thing she's dreading doesn't happen. Her friends don't mock her, they push her toward him, they tell her to go for it. So she does. In the most Suzuki way possible, a panicked, comically slow sprint after a boy who's already walking home alone. And when she finally catches him, on a bridge, out of breath, no plan, no clever speech, she just blurts the truth. Loud, raw, completely exposed. And here's the gut punch. He likes her back. He says it plainly, the way only Tani can. He likes listening to her. He likes that she fills the silence. The boy who never knows what to say didn't know what to do when she stopped talking. That's it. Episode 1. Confession done. Couple sealed. Most shows would have stretched that across 2 seasons. This one looked you dead in the eye and said, "Nah, we're starting here." And that single creative choice is the whole reason this show works, which brings us back to that thing I told you to remember. Most romances run on tension, the agony of not knowing. Pull that out too early, and the story usually collapses. So why doesn't this one? Because the moment they get together, the show swaps one engine for a better one. It stops asking, will they end up together, and starts asking, how do 2 completely opposite people actually make this work day to day? She wants to do coupley things but panics about being seen. He doesn't understand why she cares what anyone thinks. She reads way too much into a single text. He texts like he's filling out a tax form. Every tiny date, every handhold, every misunderstanding becomes comedy gold because they process the world in opposite ways. That's the magic trick. The opposites aren't an obstacle keeping them apart. They're the source of every funny, sweet, awkward situation that keeps you watching. The show essentially proved you don't need fake drama and endless misunderstandings to make a romance addictive. You just need 2 characters worth caring about, actually talking to each other. Quick question while you're thinking about it. Do you actually prefer the slow burn? Will they, won't they? Or are you tired of it and ready for shows that just let the couple be a couple? I genuinely want to know where this audience lands. Tell me below. And it's not just the main 2. The show builds a whole little ecosystem of mismatched pairs around them. A flashy type with a plain partner, a walking storm cloud of a guy, a popular but secretly awkward girl. Everyone's an opposite of someone, and that quietly reinforces the show's whole thesis. The people who balance you out are usually nothing like you. These side characters aren't just filler either. They give Suzuki and Tani a world to bounce off of, and they keep the comedy fresh so it never feels like you're just watching the same 2 people in a vacuum. So why did this thing pop off when, on paper, it sounds like 100 other school romances? A few reasons. First, that retro, almost throwback animation style. Bright, springy, full of personality, with a distinctly soft, shōjo-flavored look, even though it technically ran in a shonen lineup. It feels warm. It feels handmade. In a season packed with dark battle shonen and heavy action, this was the comfort watch people kept coming back to. Second, it's genuinely funny, and the humor comes from character, not cheap gags. Suzuki's reactions alone became instantly clippable, which is exactly why moments from it kept circulating online. And third, the relatability. Strip away the pink hair and the bouncing hair buns, and it's a story about being scared to like someone, scared of being judged, and learning that the right person makes all that fear go quiet. That's universal. That's why it stuck. Here's the part that makes now the perfect time to get into it. This isn't a one and done. There's more coming, the story continues, the relationship deepens, and there's plenty of material left for the couple to grow into. Which means if you start the show now, you're getting in right as the momentum is building, not years too late. So if you've been looking for a romance that's sweet without being slow, funny without being dumb, and actually finishes the chase instead of dragging it out forever, this is your sign. So let me leave you with the big one, the question I really want this whole comment section to fight about, nicely. Suzuki and Tani are proof that opposites attract. But do you actually believe that in real life? Are the best couples the ones who are total opposites and balance each other out, or the ones who are basically the same person and just get it instantly? There's no wrong answer, but I want to hear yours. Drop it below and tell me which side of the opposites versus same energy debate you're on. And if this video earned its spot in your feed, do me one small favor: like it, subscribe, and stick around, because next up, we're diving even deeper into the moments and characters that made this show special. You do not want to miss it. I'll see you in the next one.